Hi everyone, this is Miss Longley and we are starting with photosynthesis part 2 of this screencast. So today what we're going to do is finish this diagram that you started the previous day with cell respiration, but this time we're going to focus on photosynthesis and see kind of the connections between the two processes. So what I have outlined here before is what you should have already have made in your diagram. This is just showing the cell respiration. So remember, cell respiration is taking glucose and oxygen. These are reactants that are entering into the mitochondria. And as a result, we're releasing two products, which is carbon dioxide and water as waste. And then as a result, we are building the molecule ATP, so recharging those batteries ADP to ATP. About 10% of the energy stored in glucose is being used to make ATP. And then 90% of that energy is actually being lost as heat. So this is why we have outlined those arrows in yellow. So we're going to be using those same colors today. So using that yellow color that you used previously, and then a second color. I'm using the color pink, so it's up to you how you want to use that color. Let's go ahead and fill in photosynthesis. So the first thing we're going to do is label our organelles. The organelle that photosynthesis is taking place in is the chloroplast. So go ahead and label that. And we're going to start with the beginning. So what are our reactants needed for photosynthesis? Well, we already know that water and carbon dioxide are entering into the chloroplast, but there's one other part that is missing, and that is the light energy. So I'm going to be using the color yellow, and I'm going to shade in this sun here and label it with light. So we're taking light energy. It is also entering into the chloroplast in addition to water and carbon dioxide. So that arrow there, make sure you shade it in yellow to show that transfer of energy. And where's that energy now being transferred to? Is it being transferred to the oxygen or the glucose? Hopefully you said glucose because you remember from the previous screencast. So we're going to shade in this arrow here, yellow. So that's showing the transfer of light energy into chemical energy. It's now being stored in the bonds of glucose. All right, next part we're gonna do is using our second color, pink. So we already know that glucose is gonna be broken down by the mitochondria and finish cell respiration to produce ATP. But let's look at how does this refer to the carbon-containing compounds. So we already circled those, so that's carbon dioxide and glucose. But let's just show like how are these cycled between the carbons in these two processes of photosynthesis and cell respiration. So using your second color, I'm using the color pink. Let's take a look. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we know that carbon dioxide is a product of cell respiration. It's a waste that is being released. And so that carbon dioxide molecule is going to then be used as the reactant to power photosynthesis. So I'm going to shade in these arrows going this way, pink, because that's showing that carbon is cycling from cell respiration as a product, and then it's going to be reused again as a reactant for cell respiration. Once it enters into the chloroplast, remember those carbons are used to build glucose. So I'm also going to shade in or maybe outline with your color, pink or whatever second color you chose, shade in that arrow or outline it. And then that glucose is then going to enter into the cell respiration process. So I'm going to also outline this arrow as well. So just to kind of recap, yellow is showing you the transfer of energy. So we're going from light energy into the form of glucose, which is chemical energy, and then breaking, releasing that energy from the glucose bonds to form ATP or release as heat. So that's the yellow. The pink is showing you the cycling of the carbon elements. So carbon dioxide and the carbon in glucose. So that's being cycled back and forth. All right, so taking your diagram, you're gonna flip over to the next page. And what I'd like you to do is fill out these summaries. So the flow of energy part that you have here, you're gonna use complete sentences to summarize the flow of energy represented in your flow chart on the previous page. So this picture right here. Focus on the yellow arrows. And then this second part here, you're gonna write a summary of the cycle of matter. So you're gonna be focusing on the pink arrows and circles. Be sure to use terms such as like what products or reactants are being used, what process is it being used in at that time, and what is the end result. All right, and there's one more thing that I want you to do after you finish that is on the bottom of that page, you're gonna see this part right here. So you're gonna compare and contrast the energy in autotrophs and heterotrophs. So here I just made like a sample of a double bubble map, or you can use a Venn diagram, whatever makes the most sense to you. So think about like what is some similarities between autotrophs and heterotrophs in terms of photosynthesis or cell respiration, how they make glucose, how do they use glucose, and then what are some differences. So it's kind of open-ended, use whatever information you have. All right, that is it. Thank you for watching.